They once laughed at her height, but today they would stand in her shadow, not because she towered above them, but because she rose beyond their hate. Morning sunlight spills over golden fields, a perfect canvas for a brand new day. From the old ranch house, Elena steps out. She's wearing a simple white dress, boots on her feet, standing taller and prouder than I've ever seen her. I watch her from the porch, a quiet admiration filling my chest. I can't help but smile. You look like the sky finally decided to walk the earth, I tell her. She grins back, that familiar sparkle in her eyes. And you still talk like a cowboy poet, she retorts. We share a soft laugh, so easy and free. There's no fear left between us anymore. A year has passed since the storm, both the one in the sky and the one in our hearts. The gossip, that constant nagging whisper, had faded into the background. The town didn't change overnight, but she did. She had blossomed, not by shrinking to fit their world, but by growing into her own. The whispers that once tried to cut her down were now just distant echoes. Powerless against the strength she'd found within herself, she learned that true growth isn't about height, but about depth. And in the quiet solitude of the ranch, surrounded by open fields and the unwavering loyalty of her horses, she had dug deep and found a well of resilience she never knew she possessed. Her confidence wasn't loud or boastful. It was a quiet certainty, a peaceful self-acceptance that radiated from her like the warm morning sun. It was in the way she held her head high, the way she met every gaze without flinching, and the way her smile reached her eyes, genuine and unburdened. The world hadn't gotten smaller. She had just learned to take up her rightful space in it, unapologetically. Later that year, the harvest festival buzzed with life. The air was thick with the smell of cider and roasted corn, a symphony of small-town celebration, and right in the middle of it all, Elena stood beside her art display. It was a photography exhibit, her first one ever. She'd poured her soul into these images, pictures of the ranch, the familiar streets of our town, the wild grace of the horses, and a few of me, caught in unguarded moments. People started to gather, their initial curiosity turning to genuine surprise. I heard a woman whisper to her friend, "She took these." A man nearby, one of the old-timers who'd known her since she was a girl, shook his head in amazement. "They're beautiful," he admitted, his voice low. "Didn't think she had it in her." And that was the magic of it. They once saw her height as her flaw, the one thing that defined her. Now they were seeing her vision. They saw that her unique perspective allowed her to capture a kind of beauty that others, looking from lower ground, simply couldn't see. Her camera became her voice, telling stories without words, showing them the world through her eyes. Each photograph was a testament to her journey, a frame capturing not just a moment in time, but a piece of her reclaimed identity. The long shadows she cast in the late afternoon sun weren't just a physical reality anymore. They were a metaphor for the profound impact her art was beginning to have on the very people who once overlooked her. She was showing them that perspective is everything, and hers was magnificent. I made my way through the crowd until I was standing beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. I leaned in. "You proud of yourself yet?" I asked quietly. She looked at me, a soft, thoughtful expression on her face. "Not proud," she corrected. "Just finally okay with being seen." Her words were simple, but they held the weight of her entire journey. It wasn't about ego or winning. It was about peace. Just then, the mayor stepped onto the small stage, tapping the microphone to get everyone's attention. The chatter died down as he began to announce the winner of the annual photography contest. My heart hammered against my ribs. "And this year's award," the mayor boomed, his voice echoing across the town square, "goes to Elena Brooks for her collection, The view from above. A wave of applause rippled through the crowd. Some clapped sheepishly, perhaps remembering their past judgments. Others clapped with sincere, newfound respect. Elena's eyes glistened as she turned to look at me, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. In that moment, the laughter that once broke her, that cruel, thoughtless sound that had haunted her for so long, became applause that built her. It was a beautiful, powerful transformation, a validation not from them, but for herself. She had turned their biggest criticism into her greatest strength, and now they were celebrating her for it. The award wasn't just a piece of metal. It was a symbol of her victory over the shadows of her past. As evening fell, the festival lights began to shimmer across the lake, painting the water with streaks of gold and red. We found ourselves standing near the edge, right where our love story had truly begun. The air was cool, filled with the distant sounds of music and laughter. Elena's voice was soft when she spoke, almost a whisper carried on the breeze. "I used to wish I could shrink," she confessed, her eyes fixed on the dancing reflections. "Just disappear." I reached for her hand, lacing my fingers through hers. "And now?" I asked. A slow, radiant smile spread across her face. She turned to me, her eyes shining brighter than any lantern. "Now, I just wish the world could stand a little taller with me." The crowd, once a source of her pain, now watched us from a distance. But this time, their gazes held no judgment. Instead, there was a quiet admiration, a recognition of the love and strength they saw before them. She didn't just find love in me, she found herself. And in doing so, she taught our entire town, and maybe even the world, something incredibly simple: the heart has no height. I leaned in and kissed her, right there under the soft glow of the paper lanterns, just as the first firework exploded in the night sky, lighting up our faces and sealing our new beginning.